the whole conversation around the Houston Rockets, kind of that Houston Rockets team eliminating, would have eliminated Golden State
Yeah.
is that season when they actually I think took them to 7. People never talk about how Andre Iguodala got hurt when they were up
Yeah.
2-0. They never bring that up. But I think what it is that that's the analytical crowd that tries to bring Daryl Morey up into praise. They'd be like, "Oh, he constructed a team that almost eliminated the Warriors." You know what I'm saying? Like they want to lift him up because he gives like the NBA world an excuse to hire analytical
Yeah.
people. For because
But
that,
I
that that
also
job
think,
is a multi-million-dollar job, that executive job, but it's not
yeah.
really an analytical job. But they're trying to turn it into that.
But I'm gonna be honest, dude. I also think another factor that plays into it is that I think a lot of people weren't willing to accept the NBA changing. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people still held on to the idea of a trend. Like, I think a lot of people during Steph's early years of becoming the best point guard in the league, a lot of people still had the idea of a point guard is a guy who sets up plays instead of a point guard being that defined scorer.
No, I don't really think it was that. I think it was there was a transition happening, and it
Yeah,
was
but you remember that one? Remember that one year in the draft when they had like the top point guards in the league and they didn't put Steph Curry in it in the 2017 draft, I believe, because they tried to make Steph Curry out not to be like a pure point guard.
yeah, because that was the in between transition years, like where
Yes.
where where I wouldn't say the league was going analytical. I think what it really was just the influx of people trying to bring analytics into the NBA.
But I think there was a lack of people, like media guys, not willing to take change.
No, no, and I don't think it was that because what it is that a lot of media guys, some of them were even being offered jobs in NBA front offices because of
And I remember
analytics.
one of them took a
Because
job at the Memphis Grizzlies.
yeah, because of analytics. There were
Yeah.
guys that never played even high school basketball, and they were
Yeah.
offered some of the highest levels in NBA front office jobs. Like that to me is crazy.
Yes.
That to me is crazy. Like that's how much, I would say, and then also media members were promoting it because they saw themselves possibly couldn't, getting these jobs. I think even Zach Lowe was offered job, an NBA executive job because of the whole analytics
Yeah.
era. Like, there was a transition. Like at the end of the day, like that era, I think I would say it's between 2015 to like 2019. 2019 is when we started to see it wear off after the bubble season. That's when the whole
Yeah.
analytics, because you know what it was? A lot of teams were really bad. They were nowhere near winning, and then owners had like at least 4 to 5 years worth of evidence showing that, hey, this analytics guy, this shit ain't really working. And so they went right back into hiring head coaches. That's when we've seen the influx of young head coaches, like the
Yeah.
Tyronn Lue types, the Chauncey Billups. We start to see real players who played the game come back and coach. Because there was a short time
Yeah.
period where even black head coaches, the league during that analytics era, that the league went from like almost like half of the coaches were African American to now it was almost like less than like 5%. They were just hiring analytical guys, and then the players were getting frustrated. They didn't relate to the coaches. We've seen a few
Yeah.
scuffles happen. Look at the Bulls coach. I forgot his name, the one that got fired during that era. There was a lot of
Hoiberg?
incidents like that. What's his name?
Fred Hoiberg?
I forgot, man. The guy that was making the weird comments, man. There was just a lot of disconnect during that
It was
era.
after Tibbs. It was Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was horrible though. Whatever coach he
Oh,
was,
Jim Boylan.
Jim Boylan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was just like an era of like a disconnect where it was like even
Yeah.
Earl Watson talked about it. He said he was a coach of the
Yeah.
Suns, and an executive came
Yeah.
down the steps and told him, "Hey, you need to shoot X amount of threes more per game, or else, or some
And
shit like
Boylan
that." And he didn't even have the personnel to
Boylan
do
was a
that.
guy. And Boylan was a guy. He was an assistant coach and a video guy for the Rockets back in the championship days. and obviously worked with the Spurs. So you knew he was like more of an analytics bullshit guy.
Yeah, but again, like I don't know. It's just there was a push with media members also because they seen their colleagues getting offered multi-million-dollar NBA jobs, and I'm telling you that they kind of pushed this whole because the Warriors didn't really they used analytics, but they also were kind of old school. They played defense. Their team was kind of being constructed by Jerry West. They had
Yeah,
Steve Kerr, who had experience with the Bulls. There was like real basketball pedigree in that franchise, but the NBA media made it seem like that franchise was using analytics, and then they kind of
yeah.
spread it across the league. Like, oh yeah, like that's why you had the head coaches during the press conference slamming the desk. Oh, take that for data and et cetera, et cetera. Like all these dust ups with the media because the media was trying to promote this so a lot of these guys can get multi-million-dollar jobs. I really
And you
think
saw Barkley diss it
that's
too.
my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion.
You,
Like of why
you saw
there was a
Barkley
push.
diss it too over time.
Yeah, and it got phased out because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like you had these
Yeah,
guys, you have a team with no 3-point shooters, but the front office guy who never watched the game, just looking at numbers, is telling you, hey, you need to shoot 24 more threes. It's just
yeah,
it's not really computing, man. And the NBA product around that time frame was some of the worst basketball. Remember, in the first half, we seen teams down by 40. Even in the first quarter, there were certain teams that could shoot threes. They were hot certain nights, and they were blowing out other teams because other teams was just trying to copy the Warriors.
yeah.
It was a really bad product, man. I felt like the league really took a hit with that. Adam Silver, he got too caught up in that. It sounded nice because of the tech boom. You think about the Golden State Warriors were popping off. They're becoming a winning franchise. At the same time, they're out there in Silicon Valley. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the league tried to infuse those two worlds together, but it just made for a shit product, man. It just made for a shit product. And the only team that could really play with the 3-point analytics was Golden State. When the Rockets tried to imitate it, it kind of blew up in their face around 2019 when everybody from Austin Rivers, PJ Tucker, Trevor Ariza, everybody left the Rockets saying, yo, I fucking hate it here. Even Mike D'Antoni
Yeah.
put in his paperwork and he left. Because Mike D'Antoni, when he was in Phoenix, they used the whole court. They used mid-range. Then the mid-range opened up to 3. Then if the 3 opened up, you know, because they're guarding you so close, now it's layups. Mike
The paint
D'Antoni used
opened up,
everything.
And you saw the 27-3 game, 27 threes missed.
I say that again?
The 27 threes missed with the Rockets.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
that type of basketball, it just it's
Not
nasty.
sustainable.
It's nasty to watch. Like Adam Silver, I understand, like, you know, you want to, you know, more modernize everything with analytics. It sounds cool, like you infusing the tech or whatever, but that shit made for a shit product on television. Horrible. Like I understand why the ratings dropped, and I feel like that reputation still follows the NBA today.
Yes.
It still follows it, even though they kind of picked up the pace and picked up the physicality. They picked it up a little bit, but it's like, hey, this whole Daryl Morey ball, that shit. Notice how Daryl Morey went to Philly, and people in the East Coast don't like that shit. Daryl Morey knows better not to run that. Do not run that Daryl Morey ball out in Philly, New York, Boston. You cannot do that. No.
You can't even do it in Indiana or Cleveland, to be honest with you.
Nah, you can't do that over there either. Those places, nah. There's certain places you cannot play basketball like that. No way.
No, you can't. Like Houston, Dallas, they're business cities, so they don't give a fuck. Like, they probably invite it, you know, they welcome it.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn welcomes it for sure.
Brooklyn really didn't. Brooklyn really didn't. Nope. I'm telling you, the hottest ticket in town when James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant was in Brooklyn was Julius Randle and RJ Barrett in the Knicks.
Yeah.
Only ESPN. It was amazing watching ESPN every day. Well, whenever I saw ESPN, the way they promoted the Brooklyn Nets. But meanwhile, when I was like going to work, I'm walking past the stadium, and the talk in the town, the talk on the street is the Knicks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, is this a I might not. It's not really a disconnect. It's just the way you could tell what the NBA wants to be promoted. So I'm just like, it is what it is. But the city never bought into this 3-point finesse transplant basketball. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not the way Boston likes their basketball. Even the way the Celtics play today, they of course shoot more threes, but if you notice, they're playing great defense. It's kind of an old school Golden State kind of play. You don't notice that?
Yes.
They're shooting threes, but it looks old school because it's like you see their defense, the way they're physically playing. It looks different.